We have more on the Eurozone and the debt problems of the countries such as Spain and Greece. We're joined by Uri Dadush. He's the Director of International Economics at Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's start with a couple of the countries that very much made headlines last year. To the surprise of many, the Eurozone, we almost had a V-shape of crisis and concern, and then the second half was very different, and a lot of that had to stem from what was happening in Spain. Give us your take as to whether or not the problems in Spain are getting better, and are we past the worst?
We're getting better very slowly. Difficult to say whether we're past the worst. We are in a situation with 25% unemployment, very slow growth. The latest numbers you mentioned show more decline of industrial production. We're going to have a continued recession next year. It's a very tough situation. On the other hand, banking system is getting better, and the competitiveness of Spain is getting better.
I want to touch on the banking system. You mentioned it, the assistance that was provided last year. There was a lot that were saying that it wasn't going to be enough. Does it appear at this stage, we've had several months to digest the reaction and implementation of the money going back into the banking system in Spain? Was it enough?
I think it's enough. There is more that can be drawn upon if Spain needs it. On top of that, you have massive injections of liquidity from the European Central Bank on top of the money that's coming from the European Stability Mechanism. There's just a lot of firepower lined up right in the middle of Europe in support of Spain if it needs it.
The Prime Minister Rajoy has said that they would accept assistance, but it's not needed at this time, and he's essentially left the door open. Does this story go away in 2013, or does it somehow come back again?
I don't think this story is going to go away. I think Spain is in for a very protracted period of difficulties, well into 2014, probably into 2015. Whether or not they seek help is very difficult to tell. I think the fact that the global economy appears to be doing better, even though Europe is in trouble, will help Spain because a lot of the growth is coming from the exports on world markets.
You mentioned something that was that's been very near and dear to this show because we've talked about so much, and that's unemployment. Spain at 25%. Much of the other areas of Southern Europe also having very high unemployment rates. Let's take a step back and look at Europe as a whole. What does 2013 look like for the economy, and what does it look like for the unemployment rate?
Not good. The recession in Europe will very likely continue into the first half of 2013. In Spain, it will go on for longer, and several of the other countries in trouble.
We know the problem, but why is it so difficult for the governments to take additional action? What action is really needed to solve the problem? What's missing?
The governments have very little room now. They can't borrow money at reasonable rates unless, so the idea that they're going to reflate just makes no sense in the current circumstance. What they have to do, the only option for them, is the kind of blocking and tackling strategy of improving competitiveness, structural reforms, and unfortunately taking cuts in their real wages or increasing productivity. These are the only options for getting out of the crisis in the medium term.
Uri, thank you very much for your time and analysis. I wish there was an easier solution to a very complex problem. Thank you.
Thank you.